Griff Hamlin from Blues Guitar Unleashed here. Welcome. Thanks for joining me today. In today's video, we're going to be talking about another major blues sound lick. Now, hopefully you saw my video from yesterday where I went over kind of what the major blues scale is versus the minor blues scale, how that works, why you might want some of these great major blues licks. They are fantastic and they have a very cool sound. You just have to know how to work with them. So let's, like we did yesterday, let's go through some of the patterns that I'm going to be looking at. Now, I believe that some of these may be a little bit more, I'll say you're a little bit more hip to them. I like to think of the major blues sound, or in this case, the major pentatonic sound. I'm thinking of box 2. So you notice I got my middle finger on that root. Then I have the 2, 3, 5, 6, root 2, 3, 5, 6, root 2. Now, this is what I call a right-facing pattern. I have left-facing and right-facing. Either the headstock or the body of the guitar is kind of where most of the notes fall. So when I add my blue note, I add it up that direction. Sorry. Okay, so the blue note, the flatted third. And as you probably noticed from yesterday, that flat third is very important. We pretty much always use it. Now, what's really cool is that I can just kind of leave this alone and I get the minor blues sound, or the minor pentatonic sound, by adding the blue note. Again, the flatted fifth, I get the minor blues sound. And I think that for most everyone watching this video, these are going to seem a lot more useful because you probably already know box 1, you probably already know box 2. So I'm using box 2 for the major sound, box 1 for the minor sound. As you can see, this is just a nice coincidence. Okay, so in my mind, this is a box 2, I'll say, position. Because again, this is a more major sounding blues lick, meaning it's going to pull most of the notes from the major blues sound. Let's check out the lick itself. 1. Okay, so hopefully you recognize that. This is one of the most classic blues licks in the history of mankind. It's everywhere. So many solos start with this lick or use it in some capacity at some point in the lick. And we're starting from the root, that root there at the 7th fret of the 4th string. Notice how I again hammer on my way from the flatted third to the natural third. I don't just... That just sounds a little too stale. I always do that little hammer on there to get to the 3rd, 5th, 6th root. 1 and 2 and 3. Right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now I'm going to do a pull off on that count, and you'll notice that I'm pulling off from the flatted 7 to the 5th. So that's the note that I've borrowed from the minor blues sound. And then after I do that pull off, I'm going to go down to the 7th fret on the 3rd string, which is the 4th of the scale. Again, a note that I am borrowing from the minor pentatonic, but I'm using it because that, in conjunction with that, allows me to do what's commonly called encasing the third. And this is, again, one of those considerably more sophisticated, almost, dare I say, jazzy, melodic constructs. It's a really, really cool sound, and there are a few things that will pull your listener more into the chord that you're doing right now. When you play something like this, you're giving them the suspension and then leading them into the third of the chord. It's a very powerful device that I hope you'll take advantage of a lot. Now, I ended it on that upper root. I could do it on the lower root. I could do it on the E. I could do it on an F sharp. I could do it on a G. I could do it on just about anything. Just as we talked about last time, depending on what I want to do with this particular lick will depend on what that last note is going to be. Now, I didn't write it out, but you should be able to see if I need to move this. Right? It's the same deal. Doesn't matter where you need to put it. The idea of, I'm going to say, minorizing this lick is a little bit tricky, okay? And licks like this, you kind of have to pay attention because that major third is so prominent. That's such a crux of the lick. And for me to just leave that minor just wouldn't sound good. Like that it just doesn't work. Okay, so I'll be honest, this is a lick I would absolutely never try to use this, I'll say over the turnaround, for example. I just wouldn't. This lick isn't going to sound good. If I leave those major thirds out and try to make it minor, it isn't going to sound good. And sometimes that happens, okay? That's why we have major licks and why we have minor licks. Often it is true, you can take a major lick and you can make it sound good in sort of a minor capacity, as I showed you in the last lesson. You know, over that turnaround, with the chords going by, I could take that lick, I could just sort of remove the major thirds, and it just kind of worked. It's not gonna here, and that's okay. We're gonna have other options where there are other things that we can do. So I'm not gonna bother, okay? Let's take the lick, let's count through it. I should count through it for you. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Again, notice how I'm going across that beat to add some syncopation. And 1 and 2. Again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, so if I were to again put an A7 chord into my looper, 2, 3, 4, 1. Sounds great. 4, 1. Right? No problem at all. If I then put a D7 chord into my looper, and I just move it up, 1. Right? Sounds good. 4, 1. Works like a champ. If I then put an E chord for the 5, now I gotta move up pretty high. 1. Right? 3, 4, 1. And again, it works like a champ. And again, this is what you should be able to do. So again, the first thing is you're gonna take the lick, you're gonna memorize it, count it out loud, nice and slow as you have to go to play it. When you can do that comfortably, start to try to pick up the speed a little bit. We're just at a slow blues tempo, okay, so it doesn't have to be fast. Could you play it fast over like a shuffle feel? Of course you could. Probably sound great. But for now, let's just keep it at a slow blues tempo. That's what we're working with. So nice and slow, nice and easy, count it out loud, get it memorized, get it under your fingers, and then play it over different chords, okay? It's very easy. You just need one chord in the looper. Doesn't have to be fancy, right? Now later on, we're gonna add in a complete 12-bar blues. We're gonna take a lot of these licks that we're working with, we're gonna put them together into a solo. And you'll see that we'll do things like handle the turnaround like we did in yesterday's lick. And we'll be moving some of these around and you'll see how that kind of goes. But for now, it's important to just get the lick down. Get it down, get it good, get it memorized, and then tomorrow we'll work on another one. All right? So with that, I'll say farewell. As always, if you have guitar playing friends, please feel free to share this video with them. Hope you're digging it, and I'll see you again tomorrow for the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.